Welcome to the Kim B. Davis Show. Here we'll talk to the leaders in technology, culture, business, and the arts. We'll cover politics, advocacy, motherhood, writing, mental health, and mostly we'll focus on hope. Join Kim B. Davis, author, playwright, radio personality, event consultant, professional speaker on the Kim B. Davis Show. Welcome to the Kim B. Davis Show. I'm your host, Kim B. Davis, and this evening we have Sonya Weaver. She is the founder and owner of Deals with Black-owned businesses. And this evening she's going to talk to us about what business is going to look like post-COVID. Good evening, Sonya. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Good evening. How are you doing?
I am great. And thank you for coming back on the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I was excited when I got the invitation.
Awesome. All right. So let's get right to it. So we can finally see light at the end of what seemed like a very long tunnel.
Yes.
So we are coming out of COVID. Yes, we still have some challenges. You should still social distance and wear your mask. That's my opinion, whether or not you've been vaccinated or not, just to be careful because we don't know who's been vaccinated and who hasn't.
Exactly.
However, now that we're doing that, restrictions are being lifted. People are coming back into the workplace. People are going to restaurants. They're going to movie theaters and concerts, and different businesses are now looking at ways to recoup the losses from the pandemic. Tell us what business is going to look like going forward based on what you see and what you predict.
Well, that's a very good question. And truly, part of it is going to be based on the industry they happen to be in. But at the core of everything, I'm going to say for me, it's going to go back to client relations, customer service. You have many people in different areas that didn't go out too much at all with COVID at all. And they have been waiting to get out. Some I've even here still going to wait it out a little more, but waiting to get out. And so for them, customer service is going to be key just as they navigate back into the arena, because their expectation is going to be slightly higher. They're excited about it and they want to have a good experience as they return back out. And patience, we have to kind of adjust our patience again. Our temperaments have gotten to be very impatient. And so that customer service again is going to make the difference and be some of the things that may make or break you especially if you're an intimate, smaller business. I'm speaking of those that not necessarily the bigger chains, but then those smaller restaurants and boutiques and hair salons and all of those things, because people are excited to be back. And so you want to give stellar customer service. And when you do that, they'll return quicker, because they've been longing for it. Now, who wants to be longing for an experience and then go out and it's subpar? You're going to quickly then decide, well, I'm going to go somewhere else. So you want to capture these people, almost like you got that one time to make a first impression again. And that's where I feel, at least I've been speaking with my clients and going through our client relations training review intentionally on customer service. And because we know, your business can either survive, thrive, or it can go the opposite direction based on how people feel and what they start sharing about it.
You gave us some great points to ponder. And I just want to piggyback on where you were talking about client relations and about stellar customer service. So we just spent a year and a half in a pandemic where all of a sudden DoorDash, Uber Eats, all of those things, whatever other food delivery service there is, was able to deliver to your home. It even got to a point where I knew people who were going to restaurants who this was their favorite restaurant, and it was like on a Saturday, and they were like, "Well, I need a drink, and I'm getting a drink to go." I was like, "Wow, you can get a drink to go."
Yes.
So people were getting drinks to go, and I thought that's ingenious, because if you're a person who, likes to go to your favorite restaurant or watering hole or whatever it is that you call it, and that's what you do, and you have a particular set of items that you like, including particular beverages, whether it's coffee, because you could get Starbucks to go, or
Yes.
Starbucks delivered to your house, and it almost became funny, because we were like, "Oh, this is the Jetsons. We don't have to go anywhere or do anything."
Yeah.
So but you're right. So now, if you've gotten used to having everything brought to your door, what would drive you now to go back, because you've become convinced where you can have that service at home?
Right. And here's the thing. Human beings aren't meant to be on an isolated island. So the convenience is something that is a plus, but you cannot replace socialism and socializing, having face-to-face conversation and connection. It's almost like if you even put someone who is either a young child and isolate them, that was going to be detrimental to them. If you do it with the elderly, it's detrimental to them. The middle of those two, we kind of find other ways to cope with it, but we're still feeling it, even though we're trying to adjust and do other things to replace it. But it's really trying to replace that connection, that people, the interaction, the energies that we feel when we're around and surrounded by others. So those people, which is the majority of humans, some people are very introverted, but that was always there, and that's the smaller percentage of the population, are excited because they're more so looking forward to that energy that they've lost. And that's why it was so many people buying food before, because that's the only time you can kind of get out. Even though everybody wearing masks and you're trying to distance, you still felt like somewhat engaged with what was going on. And because you kind of got conditioned to, my things come to my home, they're here when I want them, or whatever the case may be, again, that's when that patience is going to become more important than anything else with the customer service, because you're going to find people that have now become impatient, like they have to sit there and wait, even though the part of it is to be engaged. So we're human beings, are such interesting creatures, but I do believe the whole experience is what's going to make and break the whole situation. Even if it's a hardware store, being engaged makes a difference. Asking people about their home projects, if that's the case, then when they come in, whatever your field of business is, it's going to be imperative that you have connections with the customers that come in to be serviced by you, either with your products or your personal services.
Excellent, excellent. So we've been talking about customers and clients. However, there's another side to this coin: employees. Many
Yes.
employees are saying, "Ooh, at first it was nerve-wracking to be at home, but now I like to be at home. I may not have the banter at the coffee machine or the water cooler, but I can get some things done. I have a routine. My family is functioning. And now you want me to come back into the office?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know." And then some companies now, I understand, are realizing they don't necessarily have to have as many people in the office. There are some jobs that can be done from home.
Right, right. And so yeah, that's a little bit different, because I've had some people say the same exact things. And some people are just ready to get out of the house. Some people are ready to put clothes back on, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a whole plethora of different reasons why people are excited, why they rather stay home. But what's from a business side, looking at the employee side, they should have a great experience as well. I know I've been having conversations about the whole restaurant industry and the service industry about wanting more pay, etc., and saying that, people are on unemployment, so that's why they're not returning. When really there was no job satisfaction at where they're at. So therefore, they're looking elsewhere. They had this time to do so while they've been away. And so if certain industries are struggling, then you have to take an introspect look and see, what can we change? What can we do better in order to attract people to our industry, to want to service in our fields, in our industry, to want to have these jobs? Because people that feel they have value in anything then will gravitate and do it. So right now they feel there's no value in that service industry, that there's other things out here that are more valuable to them than reporting to that type of job. So those companies would benefit from changing the culture and the environment. I have a friend who has a restaurant, and she was adamant about following the governor's guidelines and what's happening and following the trends of what's been advised, despite how it might impact the overall revenue of the business. And what she said that I thought was interesting, and this is on Let It Rip. So on the news, she said her staff is her main priority because they're family. So a lot of her staff was willing to adjust and to do like half of unemployment, different things, just because of the value they have with being a part of that culture in that environment. So
Wow.
that's what makes a difference.
Okay. That's interesting. That's a great perspective, because I hadn't heard that people saying that. What you hear is the opposite side. We can't fill the open jobs that we have because everybody's on unemployment and they're making too much money. And I always say, to add to that, well, if they make more on unemployment, doesn't that tell you you don't pay enough salary to your employees?
Exactly.
I know we don't want to have that conversation, but that's a conversation that needs to be had. But I want to pivot because we're still in the pandemic. COVID is still here. We still have outbreaks that pop up here and there. We hear around the world that a new variant will pop up and throw a particular place out of whack, and they have to shut everything down. But in terms of business, going through the pandemic, what are some significant or a significant challenge that you saw businesses have to deal with?
Well, a significant challenge was not being prepared to pivot, to use that word again, because I've used it a lot in 2020.
Mhm.
It's like the original business plan had never been revisited again.
Mhm.
So and some that were in business for a while never upgraded in their knowledge of technology. So when the need to even try to see what other options were available, they were so far behind the curve that it took time to even learn, and then trying to, rebrand to a relaunch, and it didn't quite work. So that's the biggest challenge that I personally was interacting with
Mhm.
as it pertained to my clients. But those that were fluid enough to be open enough to look at different ways of servicing were the ones who were able to pivot. Now, did they get 100% regain as before? Most of them didn't. Some industries soared beyond, but a lot of them suffered as a result of the pandemic and not just being prepared for something of that magnitude. And so, I've had business though that looked at it as a welcoming reasoning of, they were kind of like, I guess, between battling, did I want to go for it in the first place? So they saw it as a refreshing to reevaluate and feel comfort with closing doors. But what I will say is that a lot of new businesses were birthed or either a pivot of existing businesses, at least in the circle of people that I know. And so that's where I would say it was amazing, and that the utilization of technology that emerged that wasn't there before was awesome. And the fact that, I mean, even if you think of our churches, you know, bringing the word to people, which should continue as the new norm. Not to say that you don't gather in person, but we do know that people feel like when they're on vacation, they're disconnected, or, you know, but now you have a connection that should kind of continue, that you can reach your membership that is at home recovering from surgery or whatever the case may be. So I feel that there were so much new things that were birthed in the opportunity, that while we had losses, I believe there was far more positive gains.
Excellent. And you're right. Pivot was the word of 2020.
Yes.
We were constantly, it was like, okay, we're going to shut down. We're going to shut down for a week and see where things are. Oh, wait,
Yes.
nope, we got to shut down for a month. Then it was, oh, we have to shut down indefinitely.
Right.
And so you're right. If you didn't have the technology or the creative know-how, or even just the willpower to figure it out, well, how do I keep my business engaged and still
Right.
be able to make a profit, or at least just be able to keep myself afloat? You know,
Exactly.
it,
Because my other business, we had that.
mhm.
We started 2020 strong, very strong, packed calendar. And when I came back from vacation, we had a packed calendar. And that was right at the end, beginning of March. And it was like, okay, we did these couple of classes real quick. Then it was like, wait, we're shutting down. Okay, well, let's I guess we got to cancel these too, you know. Then it was like, wait, well, should we cancel the whole month? Okay, so then we did that. Okay, well, what about next month? Should we? I guess let's cancel that. And then it became the month after too. And so then I was like, you know what, we might have to just cancel the whole calendar, which at that point we was booked up through, I think, July, because of our bride season, you know. And so we had a lot of disappointed brides. I mean, people graduating from high school, you know, all of these things that were on our calendar. But during the time I was like, but I know we're supposed to have this business, you know. I know. And so, yeah, it took a while to, like, and that's why I say, I guess I go through my own test to be able to be a testimony and be able to support my clients best, because I had to take time in every little aspect of my business, be like, how can I offer this in the virtual world? How can this be done? Because I finally came to a point like, yes, it can be. Now, how? And some of the littlest things tripped me up for a while, where it was like, how can we do this? Because we still have to be profitable. I can't send everything out that, because it can't be disposable now. You know, these are things that we had in our studio that were one-time purchases. So it's not like I can make those now disposable items, you know, but I had to still have it. And what could be an alternative? And I kid you not, it was a struggle till I finally said, you know what, I'm going to meditation. I was in the bathtub and it just hit me. And it was the missing piece for us to finish getting the process going to turn virtual. And I tell you, because we are people who want to have connections and not just be in a virtual meeting where you're just watching, you want some engagement, you want to feel part of it. The virtual link took off and we were back to getting us back into the black. You know, and so it's imperative that you kind of sometimes step out of the business and go up high again to kind of look from below and see what you can do to pivot. But you're right, that was a major word in 2020. And I would encourage you to just continue in business. Actually, you should kind of every 6 months to a year look back and see, where can I grow? Where can I pivot? What needs to be done so that it stays new and fresh and ahead of the curve?
Absolutely. So I think you've answered my next question, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Okay.
So has COVID-19 altered the business and economic landscape?
Oh, that is interesting because I think on both sides it has depending on what your industry is. I mean, we saw things like Amazon just, you know, I think they just jumped several steps in the process, like you said, DoorDash and all of those kind of things. Just I think blew things out of the water while you had others that kind of just fizzled out. So it COVID COVID had an impact on every area, I believe, on every area. And it also allowed businesses, here's the thing, some businesses without COVID would not have had these resources to reinvest into their business and take it to the next level and or just do some repairs on aesthetics and stuff like that. So I think again, if you look at everything that kind of happened, did it miss out on some things? Did some negative things happen? Most definitely. Most definitely. Especially like that first round of small business. Did some small businesses that really needed get the funding? No, they didn't. So, so there were some misses that happened, but there were a lot of pluses that happened. I know people who have businesses for particularly they're open 24/7, 7 days a week. That was what they drew people in because of that, but needed to do some sprucing up. How can you do it when you're open 24/7, 7 days a week?
Yeah.
So when they had no choice but to close, that gave them the opportunity to do that. Plus, they got additional funding that they wouldn't have had before. So it was some wins throughout that. And I like to focus, I guess, on the wins. I'm that half glass full type of person. I don't disregard, and it's not like I'm not aware about the losses, but I look at those still as opportunities on how we can learn. Again,
Mm-hmm.
it was definitely a learning year too. Learning a lot.
Yes, it was. There was lots of learning. And you're right, because you were referring to the PPP, the 3P loans, the
Mm-hmm.
PPP loans. And you're right, there were some big missteps because we heard some Fortune 500 companies getting these loans while small businesses, the true small businesses, the mom and
Right.
pop shops, the sole proprietorships were saying, hey, what about us? And
Right.
what's interesting, the response to that. So yeah, there were some missteps that had happened. However, I like how you phrased that you like to focus on the wins, because there were some businesses that, if it wasn't for COVID, might not be where they are. Like you talked about Amazon. I know Amazon, the Amazon truck not only visits my house, but it visits everybody's house on my block like every day. Sometimes we'll get 3 or 4 different trucks, and it's like, wow, is Amazon really doing that much business?
Yes, and I live where the main Amazon hub is. And yes, it's always constantly going. And it created again an opportunity that didn't exist before. So when I say where you hear on the news, like you said, Kim, that people don't want to work because they're on unemployment, that's really not the truth.
Mhm.
Because what happened is that businesses like Amazon, like a DoorDash, had such a need that they've added shifts, added positions, and they were paying at a rate that people didn't have to fight for the $15. It was be more than that. So
Mhm.
now all of a sudden you have all these people who were making so, I guess, minimum wage or somewhere in between there with
Mhm.
opportunity that didn't exist before. It's not that they're on unemployment, they're on other jobs.
Mhm.
So that is a plus in itself too, because a lot of people that I am aware, simply because of where I live, I see the difference in all of the movement that's going on at their different locations out here.
Mhm. Mhm. Excellent point. Okay, so here's an important question for a business owner. What should a business owner be doing right now, no matter what their industry is, to help put themselves on a profitable footing?
Right now,
Hmm.
what I would say and how I would advise my clients throughout COVID, what it's taught is to reevaluate your profit. Go back to the basics. Utilize those three principles in conjunction with, and not just one of them. What I mean by that is some people have moved where their profit margin was solely based on, this is my inventory, this is what I'm going to sell it for because this is the profit I want. And they had a target number of how much that needed to be sold in order to reach how much their goal was. Some strictly went by competition and some thought of value add. I would say it's time to do a perfect marriage of it all at this point. A lot of people have rebranded in some type of way their business, or they plan to do so. So in order for me at this point, how you would proceed and move forward, I feel is part of the rebranding, but then also engage in what the pricing is. Because right now you have a combination of people coming off. You still have people, as we said, that are on unemployment. You have some people that are in industries that they stayed during the whole entire time and they may be underpaid. You have some that have really reaped the rewards from it. So you want to offer a good blend at this point as you go back into your business. If you haven't been out, you want to rebrand yourself and take it a step up with that customer service. Like I said in the beginning, that will be my two main focus for people at this point when you're re-emerging in this newness of post, as we approach post COVID. Because I had conversations with people that are kind of still afraid, like, oh my goodness, I'm not going out there now, that but then I was like, but this is what we prayed for.
Right.
Okay, so what was it going to look like for you? That, I mean, what was that day going to look like? How was you going to emerge back into society? Is it too soon? What is it that's kind of keeping you at bay, so to speak? But this is what we wanted. We wanted them to find a way for us to reconnect. We wanted them to find a way to get to some sense of normalcy. Even like I tell people, please don't ever think it's going to go back to pre-COVID. I mean, it never went back to pre 9/11. There's going to always be now something in place, even if it is going to be, hand sanitizer still at every place, or if it's going to be something, it may not be mask on, but it's still going to be something that has been impacted as a result of being through this pandemic.
That's an excellent point, and you're absolutely right. It will not go back to pre-COVID because every time something happens, we always pivot and adjust
Yes.
and we move forward.
Yes.
Thank you, Sonya, for giving us some great information on business. So we're remembering that we've got to make sure that we give stellar customer service. We need
Yes.
to reevaluate our business plan, embrace technology, and look at how we view profit and do a marriage of all 3 points that you mentioned.
Yes.
Before we go, you have to tell us about Deals with Bob
Thank
and
you.
what you have going on, because you always have a lot going on.
I do. And I am just so excited. Someone was like, oh my God, I can see some youthfulness in your face. And what you doing? I am just happy, like overjoyed happy that I can only get from joy. And it's because Deals with Bob is entering our third principle hard. And so to refresh your listeners, our three principles are: one, to create awareness of Black-owned businesses; to encourage support of Black-owned businesses. And we did a lot of work with 1 and 2 for numerous years. And I've just been biting at the bit to be on number 3, which is promote restoration of our communities. And I just wanted to be actively involved in community change through businesses, through having more of our Black businesses present in our communities and seeing them thrive, and just that the vision that I see, like our communities re-emerging from the ashes, from the boarded up businesses, from the blight and all of that, and it's happening now. So I'm just so excited that God is orchestrated it that way. And so you see, I have on my a t-shirt, Our Rebuild. Mm-hmm. This is about us rebuilding our communities. And so this program that Deal Survive offers is geared towards entrepreneur knowledge from everything you would need to open, sustain, and scale a business, even brick and mortar businesses, online businesses. But it's giving you the IKC. And I say that's the information, the knowledge, and the connections. This is going to put you in front of the people that make the difference. So you're no longer just a piece of paper on an application that they have to see. But now when you have a relationship, they can then work with you to fill in the pieces and the gaps to get you where you need to go, to get the lending, to get the grants, to get whatever. And you just go through this program and you're getting all these tools and resources. But what I'm also excited is about the planting of our youth. So last Saturday, Our Youth Rebuild program launched, and these kids ages 12 through 16 are awesome. They gave me a little bit of their youth because they were just so engaged, so amazing. I'm so excited about this. They're on the short program, which is a 4-week program. I'm just overjoyed by just what's to come. It's almost like when I look back and I was sharing with someone, if you think about the passion, now it's a different time, but still the passion, because someone told me I speak with the passion. I said, but I'm thinking about the passion of Dr. Martin Luther King, the passion of Malcolm X, where we're talking about where my generation now benefited from it, what they desired to happen. And I'm now speaking with passion into youth. So when I'm gone, I'm just imagining what they're going to now take with this knowledge and what's going to happen to the community. So I'm just beyond excited about Deal Survive getting to this point where we're just feeding into our community and just planting those seeds, because I might not see the harvest, but I know the harvest will come when the seeds get planted.
Amazing. Tell us about are you still doing the online classes?
For Linked? Is that what you're referring to? Yes, we still do on Linked. And we're opening up the studio, still social distancing. I have a partner who's very leery, but our new series that's going to be coming soon is Boss Babes Bead and Bond. So we're excited about that coming. And that will have a hybrid type of feel to it, where you have a VIP in studio to spend time with that boss babe, find out what she's doing, why she does what she does, and just get inspirations to women, because we want to put to bed the stereotype that we're not here to support each other, that we can't support each other. So we're just excited when that series launches this summer. And I have that going on. And of course, Kim, I'm going to return the favor. I know my calendar has been booked because I have prayed for someone to help produce as far as guests for my show, and she booked me up for 3 months. So I was like, yes, that was a welcome thing. But now I was like, okay, there's people who I have in with my admin, and she was like, should we send these out? I said, yes. I said, once you contacted me, I told her, I said, we owe Kim to come on the show. We owe, I guess, several different people. So please be on the lookout for her invitation to be a part of Get to Know Bob, which is our show on Wednesday evenings on Instagram Live. So yes, God has me doing some amazing things, and this really the glow, I think, of walking in purpose, even though I can get exhausted. But I'm just excited about how the kingdom is shifting, and we've had some some things that have not been happy, not good things, but
Mhm.
in all things, I just know it's working for the good, and that he's in control. So I'm just really excited to see the work continue and to see what he has in store for this world, really. I'm just happy at this point just to be a part of it.
Excellent. I am happy. I'm so happy for you. And yes, I would love to come on your show
Thank you.
and be a part of it. But before we go, tell us where we can find you on social media and your website. So if people want to get listed with Bob, they can do that as well.
Okay, awesome. I keep it simple. So if you can remember Deals with Bob, you can find us everywhere. Just go at Deals with Bob on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Black Junction. I believe we're on there too. And you can find us at www.dealswithbob.com. And we're going to be adding the link to our Rebuild program on that site, because it does have a separate website, which is www.ourrebuild.org. But to make it streamlined, they will be adding the link straight from the Deals with Bob site for people who are interested in applying to the program.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Sonya, for coming on and giving us an update on businesses post-COVID. I hope that you'll come back and tell us, because I'm sure we'll still be talking about COVID for the next 6 months, because it just is.
I don't feel we won't stop. It'll be throughout this year. The year, 6 months in the year. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I feel that we won't. And maybe 2022, we won't be saying it as much.
Yeah. That's what I'm looking forward to. I'm like, 2022, no more COVID.
Right. And I'll be ready to celebrate, because I have a special birthday, and then I can get back to going out of the country, because I'm still I don't mind going out locally, but I'm still kind of not comfortable traveling. So
I understand. Yes. Baby steps, one step at a time.
Right.
One step at a time. We're half glass full, but we're going to take it one step at a time.
One step at a time.
Thank you again, Sonya, for being on the show. We really appreciate you being here. We hope you'll join us again on another show.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Kim B. Davis Show. I'm your host, Kim B. Davis. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, Snapchat, and Bachelor is spelled BATCHELOR. You can find me find this show on youtube.com/Kimberly Bachelor Davis. You can also listen on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, and Google. You can find out more about me as an author at my website, www.kimbdavis.com. And hopefully you'll join us on our next episode. And as always, remember, be magnificent.